In this video blog, we're going to learn about how to navigate and use the Navigation Manager. The Navigation Manager is the official fancy title for the Sun Systems menu. Because logging into Sun Systems is not the purpose of this particular video blog, I have already logged into the system, and we will just poke around and see the ins and outs of how we're going to use this menu. The first thing that is obvious about the menu is that it looks just like the internet browsers with which you are by now familiar. Toward the top, you will see a series of tabs. These tabs work in the same way as the tabs work on an internet browser. When you click on a tab, you will be taken to a new set of function options. For instance, if I go to the Asset Register tab, I find a list of fixed asset functions. If I go to the Ledgers tab, the functions on display are all related to data transactions. We have setup transactions, transaction entry, transaction inquiry, reports having to do with transactions. You'll notice that there are a lot of transaction-related functions on display on this particular tab, and if we want to see all of them, we can scroll up and down using the scroll bar at the right. To select a function from a given tab, all we have to do is click on the title of the function, and we only need to click a single time. So if I want to select Chart of Accounts Setup, I can single-click on the function, and the system is going to open the Chart of Accounts Setup screen. On this interface, I can create a new account, I can modify an account, I can even delete an account as long as no transactions have been posted to that account as of yet. If I want to open another function while I'm working in this particular function interface, I need to click on the blank tab to the right of the current functions tab. I will click on this tab, and then I will select the next function that I need to work with. Let's go to the Commons tab, and we're going to select Analysis Code Setup. So I clicked on the next tab, and I selected a new function. And I now have two functions open at the same time. I can have open up to 9 different functions, and then I can move rapidly back and forth between the functions if I need to. You may wonder when that feature would be helpful. Well, here's a good example. Let's say that I'm entering a transaction using ledger entry, and I suddenly realize that I need an analysis code that hasn't been set up yet in the system. I can quickly open and go to my analysis code setup screen, and I can create the code. And then when I go back to ledger entry, I can immediately use that new code. So if I have ledger entry open, I can go from here to analysis codes setup, create my code, and then come back to ledger entry and continue the posting. If I want to close a function, I have a couple of options. Every interface has an exit button located toward the bottom of the screen. I can close by clicking on the exit button. Another way that I can close is using the familiar Windows X for Close button. On the Sun Systems Navigation Manager, this familiar X is surrounded by a red square, and this makes it very easy to spot. This is a nice way to close multiple functions in a rapid sequence. I can just click several times on the red square, and my functions will close. See how easy it is to open and close functions in Sun Systems? Some new systems users take a look at this menu with all of the tabs and all of the long lists of functions, and they say, "Jan, this is so complicated. There are so many functions on this menu. How am I going to quickly find one small function that I need?" That is a very good question, and I'm glad you asked. Just like every good internet browser has a convenient search field, Sun Systems has one as well. It is located toward the upper right-hand side of your screen. This is the search field. Notice this icon to the right. Sun Systems offers two distinct search methods. As you become comfortable working in Sun systems, you are likely to pick a favorite search method and use that one exclusively. We will use this icon to make our choice among the search modes. If we click the drop-down arrow to the right of the icon, we will see our mode options, our search mode options. Let's look at the lookup option first. If I select lookup here, notice that my icon has now changed from a small magnifying glass to a tiny green arrow. Also, the search field itself has changed, and now there is a drop-down arrow key. If I click on that, I'm going to be presented with a list of all of the various functions that are available on this particular menu. I can scroll through this list, and then I can simply click on the option, the function that I need, and the system will create a special tab for that function. Let's go back and take another look at that lookup drop-down list. On the left, there are some codes displayed. Each of the functions on the menu has a shortcut code, which can also be used to find the function. So you can enter a code into the lookup field, search field, and search for that. It will take you directly to that location on the list of options. And if I click enter here, then I have opened my Change Business Unit screen using the shortcut code. This is very convenient for people to whom keyboard shortcuts are very dear. For me, I really don't like them all that well, but I have teammates who just really love shortcuts. The next search mode that we have is simply called Search, and this is my favorite search mode. Notice that our icon has now changed back to the small magnifying glass. This is such an easy search to use. I don't really understand why anyone would want to search for using a different search method. I don't know why they want to scroll through or memorize shortcuts. I guess I'm a little lazy in that regard. To use the search mode, all you have to do is enter any string of characters from the title of the function that you need. Notice I have entered the characters LED. And what the system did is it searched through the entire menu and it pulled together all of the functions whose title includes that string of characters, LED, and it created an individual, highly customized tab called Search Results that shows all of those functions. And now I can look through it and go, what I really wanted was ledger setup. And there it is. I can click on the title and in I go. If you use the internet often, this will be very familiar to you. Let's go back and take another look at the menu, and let's talk about these cute little icons. Aren't they great? Each time I teach a new system user about the menu, these icons get a workout. Everyone wants to click on the icons, and they click and they click and they click, and nothing happens. You are also free to click on the icons if you want to. They really are very clickable. You're certainly not going to break anything by clicking on an icon. You won't, in fact, do anything at all by clicking on an icon. The icons are basically pretty faces. Just think of them that way. They serve extremely limited roles. They are there to categorize or group functions by type. If you are a visual learner, you may find them helpful. They can help you remember which portion of the menu to look for a specific function if you like to remember things in that way. They serve one further role, which will be explained in a separate video, which is created specifically for system controllers. If you aren't a system controller, you are never going to need that information, so we're not going to cover it here. It's simple. If you want to open a function, then you need to click on the function's title. If you hover your cursor over a function title, let's go back to the menu, you will notice that a small box appears, and this gives the properties for that particular function. This is very simple information, very basic. It gives the title of the function. So these boxes also show you the shortcut code ABQY, so you can memorize it from there if you want to. And the bottom piece of information in the properties box is the classification of the function. So, only click on the icons if you just really like clicking. Don't expect them to take you anywhere. Let's go down to the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Here on every screen will be displayed some very important pieces of information. This is to help ensure that you are working in the location that you think you are working and where you need to work. Starting from the left, we have this little icon of a little faceless guy wearing a red shirt. Next to it, we have 3 characters, A-OK. This 3-character code is, of course, the operator's operator code. So I am logged in as A-OK. Next, there's a tiny little house with a snazzy red roof. Character code. These items identify which business unit you are logged into. That is the business unit code, CAD, for our demonstration. The next piece of information is identified by a cute tiny blue book and the letter A. Sun Systems offers a number of ledgers which are named alphabetically with simply the first 11 letters of the alphabet, A through K. The vast majority of Sun Systems sites, Sun Plus sites, merely use the first 2 ledgers that are available, ledgers A and B. The A ledger is always at every Sun Plus site. This is the actuals ledger, and in the actuals ledger is where you're going to be posting the daily transactions and doing your daily work. The B ledger, which conveniently shares all of the same static data that is used in the actuals ledger, is the budget ledger. Here you can enter your yearly or monthly budget and have it always available for the production of comparison reports. So you can easily create a comparison between your yearly budget and the year-to-date financial activity. Moving toward the right, the next piece of information is the transaction date. This is the current transaction date. At Sun Plus sites, this is always associated with the current date of your operating system. It is always today. The final piece of information here at the far right is the currently open accounting period. If I hover here, it will say financials current period. Depending upon how your organization's fiscal year works, this may or may not match the current calendar month. Down at the very, very bottom of the right-hand side of the screen is the little logout icon, which we have discussed in the login, logout video. Let's go up here to the very top corner on the left. Here we find the menu bar, which is very familiar from Windows operating systems. And there are some familiar menus, the File, the Edit, the View, the Tools menus. I doubt you're going to use these very often. I know that I certainly have never used this small menu of arrows. If you figure out a good reason to use these, more power to you, but I haven't used them. I've moved them around. I just really don't see how they are particularly helpful. There are other ways to accomplish the same processes. You can get rid of that menu if you want. You may use the File menu as your logout process, but there again, I'm not sure why you would, because there are other more efficient ways to log out of the system. So why would you choose that one? To me, the most interesting option that is available from the menu bar is located on the View menu. If you go to View and come down here to the bottom and select Customize, you can refine your individual menu so that it's very, very simple. In the custom screen, you will notice a series of checkboxes next to what are obviously the titles of your various tabs. Here we can deselect tabs that we know that we're not going to need. If you uncheck one of these tab checkboxes, you will no longer have that tab showing up when you log into your menu. Now, why would that be helpful? Well, let's say I'm the organization's cashier. I can fulfill all of my responsibilities easily without ever seeing a fixed asset function. I also won't need to set up any system values, so I don't need the Systems tab, nor will I ever work with business rules. So I can have the complete menu there if I'd like, or I can simply uncheck Business Rules System and Asset Register. Now when I click OK, notice that those tabs are now missing from my menu. I don't even have to look at them. This makes many system users very happy. They like having a simple menu that only consists of fewer functions. Well, wait, what if my job changes? All of a sudden I come to work and they tell me that I have to start accounting for fixed assets. What am I going to do? Because I no longer have the fixed asset tab available. Simple. All I have to do is go back to View, select Customize, and now I can simply reselect the asset register and click OK, and once again I am good to go with fixed assets. Presto chango, I'm back in business. The thing about customizing the menu is that by customizing the menu, I haven't actually customized the menu itself. All I have customized is the display. All of the functions are just as available on the menu as they ever were, only I just don't see them presented on a tab when they have been deselected. Now we come to my favorite menu feature, which is coyly named the Favorites tab. And I'm not alone in really liking this feature. It is so cool. Using this versatile tab, every system operator can create his or her own unique, tailored menu that consists only of the menu functions that that particular user needs to perform his or her daily responsibilities. If you have 2 or 3 cashiers in the same office, each cashier can have their very own favorites menu that looks different from the favorite menus of their neighbors. And this is a tab that every user can customize him or herself. It's very simple to do. Let's say that I'm working in the Ledgers tab and I want to add ledger entry. I say I have to look through this long list of functions every time I want to do ledger entry, and I just don't want to do that anymore. I can right-click on the title of the function that I want, ledger entry, and I will select Add to Favorites from my drop-down menu. Now, if I go to the Favorites tab, there it is, ledger entry, and from here I can directly go in and start working on my transactions for the day. If I go back to the Ledgers tab, I'll find that ledger entry continues to be available in that location. So by moving the link to the Favorites tab, I have not really modified the other menus. And if I want to, I can remove it from here by right-clicking on ledger entry and selecting delete. Do I want to delete ledger entry from the current group? I'll click yes. If I go back to the ledger entry tab, it's still there. So I haven't broken a thing. I can't break this menu in this way. I can also add functions to the Favorites tab directly from the Favorites tab. So if I right-click on the Favorites tab anywhere on this white portion of the screen and select Add Function, I will get this interface. This interface gives me a list of all of the functions available on this particular menu. Here I can search in the search field using a string of characters for the particular function that I need. If I click search, I should get a list of all of those functions on the menu which contain this string of characters in their title. And from this list I can select the specific function that I want to add to my favorites menu. And here it is, ledger entry. And it brought with it the cute little transaction icon, which, once again, doesn't do anything. So I can create my own list of functions, my own specific menu. I can also add shortcuts to the favorites menu to other outside resources. For instance, I can add a URL link. And I can use the Sun Plus menu as my desktop, my dashboard, my daily preferred browser. I can do what I need to do in the system, and I can access any regularly used websites or reports directly from this place, which is really neat. Let's add a link to the Sun Plus website, because I know you're going to want to have that always at your fingertips. So I'm going to enter the name of the website to which I am going in my menu items property interface, and then I'm going to come down here to the function code. Sun Systems always assigns the prefix, a 3-letter prefix for every new function that we add to the menu, and then it will insist that we add a suffix. So I will add SP for Sun Plus, and then I type in the URL link. And then when I click OK, suddenly I have here my website link. I can also add reports that are stored in other places on my desktop. I can add an external file, I can add an external application, I can add a report. And the process is exactly the same. I enter the report, I enter a suffix, and then I find the particular report that I need. So isn't this cool? By the time I'm done playing with my favorites menu, I deselect all of the other tabs, and I can come into my system every day and be exactly in my menu and see only those functions that I use on a regular basis. If I don't deselect all the other tabs and I log out in the evening, when I log in the morning, whichever tab I was in when I logged out the night before is the tab that will be displayed first on the menu. So that is our Navigation Manager. Pretty cool, huh?